The Denver Broncos are about to get the inside scoop on Weapon X, someone who could help prevent a sophomore slump and bring excitement to the team. In today's video, we're diving into the wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends who are climbing fast on Sean Payton's draft board. But we'll also take a look at a few players we were once excited about who are now sliding down the ranks faster than Russell Wilson's "Let's Ride" catchphrase did after his tough season. Before we get into it, if you're new here, I'm Ben, a diehard Denver Broncos fan. If you enjoy the content, liking and subscribing helps us out a lot and keeps you in the loop on all things Broncos. So let's talk about Sean Payton. He's back in the spotlight, rocking the same yellow hoodie he wore during his pre-draft conference just a few days ago. It's exciting to think he's on site right now, watching the deepest running back class we've seen in years. It's no secret that many insiders and former players are raving about this year's rookie running backs. J. Chase Daniel even called it the deepest running back class we've had in a long time. The NFL, as we know, is always swinging like a pendulum. For a while, running backs weren't as valued as they once were, but now the pendulum is swinging back, and we've got some insane talent at the running back position this year. The crazy part is that it's hard to justify using a first-round pick on any one of these guys, because they're all so good. Seriously, if you go on YouTube, you'll find highlight reels for every one of them that will make you feel like you've just discovered the next big star. But the real test comes at the NFL Combine. Watching highlight reels is one thing, but it's tough to compare how different players would perform in similar situations. That's what makes the Combine so exciting. It's a level playing field where every player is tested under the same conditions. This gives us a real apples to apples comparison of who's truly standing out in this loaded class. There's been a lot of talk about whether it's worth drafting a running back at the 12th overall pick, and rumors are swirling that the Raiders might be eyeing a running back at pick 6. With all the issues they're facing, selecting a running back there seems like a questionable decision. Let's talk about the insane numbers we're seeing from this year's running backs, especially considering how physically impressive many of these players are. We're not just talking about speedsters. These guys are built like tanks. They can not only hit top speeds, but they also have the strength to break tackles, and that's what makes this class so special. One standout that caught my attention is Bashall Toon from Virginia Tech, who ran a blazing 4.34 in the 40-yard dash. We've already looked at his tape on this channel, and seeing that kind of speed from him is jaw-dropping. Then there's Jaden Blue, who ran a 4.38, and a Brashard Smith, who really impressed me. This guy has a crazy backstory. He was a wide receiver before converting to running back at SMU. Watching him break a sub 4.4 time was just wild. Another name that stood out in a big way is Omarion Hampton, the North Carolina running back. His performance was insane, especially when you look at his RAZ score. That's the relative athletic score. This score compares every player to all others at his position across decades. After thousands of running backs have been analyzed, Omarion ranks as the 14th most athletic running back out of over 1,900 players. That's unbelievable. His 40-yard dash time of 4.47, paired with his impressive 38-inch vertical, shows just how explosive he is. And trust me, he's not some skinny guy either. This guy is stacked, with muscle in places you didn't even know existed. It really makes you think, why would someone take Ashton Gentry at pick 20 when a player like Omarion Hampton could potentially fall into the second round or even shoot back into the first? It's a head scratcher. The big takeaway from this running back class is how deep it really is. There's no need to rush into drafting a running back when you've got so much talent available. One player who has completely blown people away is Bashall Toon from Virginia Tech. We've talked about him before, but his performance deserves another mention. The only thing holding back his RAZ score is his size. He's 5 feet 9 inches and weighs 206 pounds, which makes him a bit smaller compared to someone like Omarion Hampton, who's nearly 6 feet tall and carries 20 extra pounds of muscle. But the thing that makes Toon so special is his 40-yard dash time of 4.34 seconds. His burst off the line is amazing, and it's not just about hitting that top speed. He's also incredibly quick in his 10-yard split, which shows how explosive he is right out of the gate. After watching these numbers, one thing is clear. This draft class is loaded with explosive running backs. We didn't get to see Cam Skaboo run the 40-yard dash, but he participated in other drills and he has been catching the attention of Broncos fans for his strong attitude and high vertical jump. He's definitely got that burst of speed, but it's worth wondering, did he hold back on running the 40 because he didn't want to be the slowest guy in the class? It'll be interesting to see if he runs one at his pro day and how that compares to the rest of the group. Beyond the running backs, the tight end class is shaping up to be just as exciting. One name that's really standing out is Terrence Ferguson, a former Heritage High School graduate from Colorado. He had an incredible performance at the NFL Combine, posting the fastest 40-yard dash time, the highest vertical jump, and the quickest 10-yard split. Not only can he blow by defenders with top-end speed, but he's also fast out of the gates. Exactly what you need from a tight end in today's NFL. Now, the exciting part comes when we start thinking about what happens if Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are both off the board. You don't want to reach and grab the third tight end in this class, but that's when you trust Sean Payton to find the right guy, no matter what round it is. And just imagine how awesome it would be if a former Colorado graduate came home to join the Broncos. Picture Bo Nix reuniting with one of his old teammates. It would be such a cool story. Looking at Terrence Ferguson's numbers, it's clear he's got some serious skills. At the Senior Bowl, we saw his speed translate into incredible route running. He was up against some of the best corners and safeties, and yet he was consistently creating massive separation. That's the kind of player who could add an exciting dynamic to the Broncos offense. Having him paired with Bo Nix would be a thrilling combination. At this point, maybe the Broncos will focus on drafting the best defensive player left on the board, knowing that Ferguson will likely still be there in the second or even third round. Could they continue strengthening their defense and then reunite Ferguson and Nix next year? That could be an exciting move for the future of the team. What do you think? Are you excited about Terrence Ferguson after seeing his overall performance? Let me know in the comments. It's worth noting that Colston Loveland didn't participate in the Combine due to a shoulder issue, and Tyler Warren didn't test in any events either. It's possible that Loveland could have given Ferguson a run for his money, as he's an incredible athlete himself. But based on what we saw, Ferguson absolutely walked out of the Combine with the title of the best athlete there, and his tape backs that up. Looking at his RAS score, Ferguson ranks 53rd out of over 1,000 tight ends tested. At 6 feet 5 inches and 247 pounds, he's a great combination of size and speed. Sure, some tight ends are a bit bulkier, but Ferguson's skill set is impressive, and his performance was undeniable. Another thing the Combine reveals is which players may have been overhyped. It's interesting to see which players' tape didn't live up to the expectations set for them. One name that really jumped out at me was Harold Fannin. He had incredible numbers at Bowling Green, but when I watched his film, I was honestly disappointed and underwhelmed. Unless you're a college football diehard, most people probably couldn't even name the conference Bowling Green plays in or the level of competition he faced. And when you look at his athleticism, it seems like he has potential as a blocker, but the drills at the Combine really expose some issues. Take the gauntlet drill, for example. The athletes are asked to run a straight line, and it's all about precision. But Fannin was all over the place. His movements were so shaky, it looked like he could barely pass a sobriety test. In the NFL, if you're even slightly off, a linebacker can close that gap in a heartbeat. Then, when it came to the final part of the drill, where he had to round the corner and run upfield, he looked completely awkward. He struggled to slow down and catch the edge. It's tough to watch, especially when you compare it to someone like Travis Kelce, who can pivot and stop on a dime before heading upfield. Fannin's awkwardness in that drill just didn't cut it. Unfortunately, I think his stock is slipping fast, especially as Terrence Ferguson's stock is skyrocketing. On a different note, another player whose performance I found disappointing was T.Z. Johnson. His 40-yard dash time was a letdown, especially considering he's one of the lightest wide receivers in this draft class. He weighed in at just 154 pounds, which is 10 pounds lighter than me. You'd expect someone with that frame to have blazing speed, but he didn't even crack the top 10 for wide receiver 40-yard dash times. His time was 4.51 seconds, and that's not a good sign for his draft stock. Honestly, I could see a scenario where he doesn't even get drafted. Sure, his defenders will point to his tape, where he's known for creating separation, but when you look at the Combine numbers, those are tough to ignore. It's all about finding the balance between numbers and film. For TZ Johnson, it's going to be a real uphill battle. But despite some of the disappointments, Broncos country, it's an exciting time. The running back class is stacked, the tight end class has incredible talent, and Sean Payton is going to come out of this draft with some serious weapons. These picks are going to make sure Bonk doesn't face a sophomore slump. It's looking like a great draft ahead.